Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video I'm breaking down one of the big additions to the Guardians of the Galaxy. Volume 3 sees us meeting some new characters, and this person even ends up as part of the team come the post-credit scene. If you're wondering who this new character is, then this is the video for you, as throughout it we're going to be breaking down who Phyla-Vell is and what she does in the comics. Firstly though, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors over at comicbookdirect.com. I've got tons of graphic novels, and if you're a physical collector like I am, then you definitely need to check this place out, as it feels it was built for fans like us. They work with all the major publishers like Mar-Vell and DC, and the best thing about the site is that if you're in the middle of a run, you can subscribe to it to get every issue sent out directly as they release. Really cool site, and if you use the link in the description below, you're going to get 20% off your first order. They've also got manga and figures, so if you want to get those brand new Guardians Funko Pops, then definitely head over to the link in the description. Without the way though, thank you for clicking the video. Now let's get into Phyla-Vell. Okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 shows us a lot of the High Evolutionary's experiments. Along with animals, we discover that he's been creating platinum hair children that possess a lot of different abilities. Feel like these might be based off the Midwich Cuckoos due to them all looking the same with the same white hair, but that might be a reach. Now we discover that one's been running non-stop in a circular treadmill for 2 hours without breaking a sweat, and that they're capable of doing complex calculations. Unlike Rocket though, they're not able to innovate, however that may change as we get further into things. Now come the post-credit scene, we see that one has joined the Guardians team, and we discover that this is a character played by Kai Zen. Busting out her own powers, she has to be pretty important to be brought into the group like this at such a young age. Though we don't get much of a backstory explained, we can look to the comics to see what she can do, and also talk about where things might be heading in the future. In the comics, Phyla-Vell's the daughter of Mar-Vell, and she's also the sister of Genis-Vell. In the comics, both were genetically created using Mar-Vell's DNA, and there is the possibility that the High Evolutionary potentially created her and her sisters this way. In the MCU, we met Mar-Vell during the first Captain Marvel movie, and the villain could have potentially got her DNA at some point which he used to create the rest of the kids. The High Evolutionary wanted to create the perfect specimens, and thus he may have grabbed some Kree DNA in order to put the group together. Now why I think she's worth talking about is that the character connects heavily in with Captain Marvel, and she even took over the mantle at one point. Her brother Genis actually travelled through time and altered things, which eventually led to her becoming Captain Marvel in another reality. It's lots of timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly stuff, and with us skipping over Genis, we might get a more straightforward version where she grows into the role. We also know that the Mar-Vells will be set in space, and we could see the Guardians crossing paths with them, which will introduce all the characters. In the comics, she debuted in 2004 as part of Captain Marvel 16, and she brought with her Mar-Vell's speed, strength, and also stamina. Like most Captain Marvel characters, she also has the ability to tap into energy and use it as a weapon. We see this being bust out in the post-credits scene, with the purple blast that she produces being similar to dark energy. This is something that Love can tap into as well, and it's possible that the pair will meet at some point due to them both being a similar age and tackling the cosmic side of the universe. Now, a way I think this would lead perfectly is through the use of the Nega Bands. In the comics, Phyla took on the name Quasar, and with this came the Quantum Bands. With Ms. Marvel having one of these and the villain Dar-Benn possessing the other, I think it would be great for her to get these at some point down the line. In the case of Ms. Marvel, I actually think that she's going to lose the bands at the end of the movie, and she'll then get her powers through her mutation. Her Disney Plus show revealed at the end that she does have a mutant gene within her, and thus they could make her keep her skill set but push them through her genetics after losing out on the bands. Phyla-Vell could get these herself and then expand her powers before becoming Captain Marvel at some point down the line. Now the Guardians comics also have the character as part of the roster, and she joined the group in 2008. Now this could also set up the character Moondragon coming into the MCU one day, as the pair ended up falling in love in the comics, but that's probably a story for decades down the line. It's also important to bear in mind that in the comics, Moondragon is Drax's daughter, so they could be going somewhere with that and him adopting all the different children. Now the MCU does kind of play fast and loose with the source material, and it often isn't a one-for-one adaptation. Often they take the rough outline of things, but they change it up completely in order to tell their own stories. I think this will probably be the case of Phyla, but if you want to know the direction they could go, then we can look at the plot leaks for this movie. Originally it listed the group at the end as being called the Annihilators, but I think things might have got lost in translation. However, Phyla does tie in with the Annihilation event, and during that massive crossover was when the original Quasar died and she ended up getting the name. I don't know mate, but Phyla has also taken up the name Martyr, and she clashed with Thanos at several points. Weirdly, a lot of the newly introduced characters are connected to him on some levels, which is quite a strange strategy to take as the guy's dead, twice. Adam Warlock was someone who was one of the people who led the charge against Thanos during most of the Infinity Stone storylines, and if you pick up those old graphic novels, then chances are that the story is going to center around him heavily. You also have Thanos' brother Eros being introduced in the Eternals, along with Adam's sidekick and ally Pip the Troll. In the comics, Phyla-Vell was killed by Thanos after he was resurrected, and all these characters coming back could tease at his return. That is a bit of a reach, but it is strange seeing so many Thanos-centric characters now making their debut in the MCU long after his death. We are dealing with the multiverse as well, and we've already seen several versions of him in the other timelines. The one the Avengers fought at the end of Endgame was from an offshoot timeline, and during What If we met one working alongside T'Challa. So there is the possibility that he may return at some point and be a threat that all these characters have to face off against. Now on the other side of this, they could just end up integrating her into the Captain Marvel stuff. I must admit, I did have to double take when I heard her name, as I wasn't expecting her to be brought across like this. Kinda just popped up out of nowhere, and for her to become a Guardians member this quickly, she must have done something special. So in summary, I think they might reveal her and the rest of the girls come from some form of Mar-Vell's DNA, which is how they possess enhanced abilities and also the powers. These clearly tap into dark energy, and with her being in the Guardians already, she must be a skilled warrior. I think that all the stuff going on in space will end up connecting at some point, and along with the Eternals, Thor and Love, we also have the Guardians doing jobs out there too. I don't know where the Fantastic Four will take things, but there is the possibility that it may introduce Galactus or a cosmic level threat. Slowly we're getting these kinds of characters slipping into the MCU, and we had the Halls of Eternity that had several monuments to them. So yeah, I think there might be a big cosmic storyline bubbling away in the background that we aren't even aware of at this point. Obviously, let me know your thoughts below though on what you think is happening. Do you think the bands will play into it somehow? Do you think Phyla-Vell will take up the Captain Marvel mantle? And yeah, just drop your general thoughts and your theories below. Should have probably theory-timed this entire video, but yeah, I hope this helped you understand who Phyla-Vell is. To just drop her in like this has to be for a specific reason, but we are going to see how things play out down the line. The Guardians will likely return as well, and though this is marketed as being their final chapter, it's clear there's still a lot of gas left in the tank with Rocket as the leader. Anyway, thank you for sticking through the video, and just to let you know, we're running a competition right now giving away the Quantumania Steelbook to 3 subscribers on the 15th of May. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the character. We pick the comments at random on the 15th, and the winners of the last one are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at HeavySpoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of the movie, which will be linked on screen right now. Lots of things to talk about in it, especially that ending, so yeah, definitely head over there right after this. By the way, thanks for sticking through the video. I've been Paul, I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.